Hello YouTube, it's William. Welcome to another video. A few days ago I did a video on simplicity of sharpening or something like that, and I'll link it to the end of this one. And it seemed to get a lot of response, a lot of questions. Most of them were about what do I use and all of that. And I have a complete playlist, folks, on my this channel if you're going to go about sharpening. There seems to be a lot of questions about sharpening. There seems to be a myth out there that it's some voodoo skill. It's not. It's very, very simple. I mean, you just want to make sure that whatever edge you're having when you bought that knife, you're trying to maintain that edge. That's all you're trying to do. If you bought a convex, you're trying to maintain a convex. If you bought a Scandi, you're trying to maintain that Scandi. If you're trying to maintain a flat or a saber that has a secondary bevel, a V secondary bevel, you're trying to maintain that. That's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to rewrite the Constitution. You're not trying to remake the wheel. You're not trying to do any of this rocket science or anything like this. It's very simple in its core application, okay? So then this one, I'm going to cover what I use and why I use it and why I don't use a lot of the other stuff. And so hopefully this will help you at least try it. And once you achieve that skill to where you can maintain your edge, then try other things and see if it doesn't improve your skill, okay? But first and foremost, as I said in the previous video, your main goal starting out is to maintain that edge as it was bought. Once you achieve that and you're consistent and you have the muscle memory, then you can explore other options and other ways or means to sharpen that edge, okay? For starting out, do not buy anything that is motorized. That is for a different level of sharpening, okay? Do not buy anything that's motorized unless you want to ruin your knife, right? First and foremost, learn the hard way. Get something that is flat and you're going to sit down and you have very consistent methods of sharpening that knife, okay? So, with that said, let's talk about some of the things that I use. I don't use natural stones. I do have a wazoo necklace that I wear sometimes that's for emergencies. It's not something that is my primary kit for maintaining a knife. It's something there for an emergency. If I dull the knife in some way and I want to put an edge back on it very quickly, then I use that wazoo necklace. A very good piece of kit for that. The problem with natural stones, for the most part, and this is a rule of thumb, there is exceptions to this, but for the most part, most natural stones will wear because the makeup of natural is there's different hardnesses inside that stone, and the softer portions of that will wear differently than the harder portions. So it can have undulations in there. It could have a lot of things that's going to mess up that true V on that blade, okay? So I don't use natural stones. I use something that is permanent, like diamond plates, okay? Work Sharp. Work Sharp has a complete gambit, if you will, of different plates, different grits, different implements to sharpen. Now again, do not get their electronic or their belt sharpening system. Anything that plugs in, I do not recommend, period, okay? Do it the hard way. It's soothing. Some people say, oh, it's aggravating, but it is soothing. Once you learn how to do it, it's soothing, it's relaxing, and it just teaches you tool care. It goes into other things that in your life, believe it or not. This little field sharpener has all of the things that you need to sharpen a knife. It has two different grits. It has a coarse plate, diamond plate, and it has a fine diamond plate. Has a little bit of a strop, a leather strop here. Now I'll get into all of this. Has a ceramic that has a different ceramic coatings. So this right here is a phenomenal piece of kit. But these guides here, again, when you start using guides, to me, it's a crutch. I would recommend that you learn how to sharpen a knife without a guide. Now, if you're in the field in the dark and you're trying to sharpen your knife and you have a store-bought knife that has that angle and you just need to touch it up real quick in the dark, yes, use that. But if you're just maintaining your knife in the evening at camp or whatever, be sure and learn how to sharpen the knife without using the guides, okay? That's my recommendation. But diamonds, Falcon has some great little, this is a DC4, there's a DC3, I think. Has a little ceramic on the back, a diamond sharpening stone, and I don't get into grits and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter. If it's a finer grit, what that means is it's going to take you longer to put an edge on it. If you wait until that knife is dull, then a coarse one will. A coarse one will remove more metal faster than a finer one will. A coarse one will put a different type of edge. It'll put a toothy edge on that knife than a finer one will. It just depends on what application you want to use that knife in, what works best for you. As long as you understand that a coarse stone will put a toothy edge and take more metal off, and a finer one will take less metal off and put a finer edge on there, then that's all you need to know. You need to find that medium of what works best for you, okay? And the only way you're gonna do that is to get out and whittle on a stick or whatever you're gonna do with that knife as you sharpen it and just figure out what works, okay? Falcon Easy Lap, make some good diamond coated stuff. DMT, I like the blue and the red. I mean, they're great. Now, I will tell you that using a diamond stone almost daily, the ones that wear the quickest for me, in my experience, is the Falcon and the Easy Lap. They wear out quicker than the DMT and the Work Sharp. Work Sharp works best the longest. I don't know what they do to their diamonds, but they seem to work the longest, okay? Ceramic rods. I love ceramic rods for honing. Basically, all you have to do if you maintain a knife is to hone it. You don't ever have to put it back on diamonds unless you chip the edge, roll the edge, or do something that is detrimental to that, or wait too long. If you wait too long, then you're probably going to have to put it back on there, put a V-grind back on that edge, or if you strop heavily, you may have to put that V-grind back on there, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But ceramic rods, for the most part, is what I use, or a mini steel. I don't have one of the 3-inch ones I put my hands on right quick. But this one is, I think, Sheffield out of England. They're starting to bring these little sharpening rods back. You can get them off of Amazon sometimes. This is the 5-inch. There's also one that they make is a 3-inch. Victorinox used to make them, but they're very rare to get now. My distributor, my wholesale account in Alaska, Great Northern Knives. If you go to their website, greatnorthernknives.com, click on the WC logo. They had some of those mini steels there. If you want to get one of those, phenomenal piece of kit. Now I'm gonna tell you right off front, everything that I'm telling you about will wear out eventually. Everything wears out, okay? So you may have to replace that after a time, a period. I'll wear them out pretty quick, but again, I'm sharpening constantly, daily, different blades, okay? So you can't go by my experience as far as how quickly they're gonna wear out. But anyway, these little ceramic rods, you can buy them off of Amazon. I think they're, 1/4-inch or 3/8 rods. You can get them, it's about 12 inches long, and cut them down or however you want to do it. But you can get them on there, on Amazon, buy them by the bulk if you want. A great little piece of kit. This is a ceramic deal that my buddy Homer gave it to me years ago. Still got it. Yeah, I used the fire to that thing. It works. That works. I mean, you can find all kinds of, a rock in a river will work as long as it's flat and use it a couple of times. Again, don't use it to where it wears out and messes up your blade. You can use sand, put it on a wet stick. You can sharpen a knife. I mean, there's just all kinds of ways to sharpen a knife. One time I was working and I didn't have a sharpener with me. I know, poor planning on my part. But in the toolkit was a screwdriver. It was just an old screwdriver that was carbon steel. It antiqued over time, didn't have rust on it, wasn't pitted. It was just a carbon screwdriver. And I hit my knife on that a few times like a butcher steel. Back hair popping sharp, buddy. So getting into the weeds on sharpening implements is not necessary. You want something that is flat, that's not going to undulate into your edge or make it to where it's not flat, even, and a V grind. As long as what you're sharpening with is a flat surface, then you're going to be fine, okay? And it's harder than the steel, okay? So keep that in mind. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be harder than the steel because leather's not harder than steel, is it? And it sharpens the knife too. The compound on there does. So maybe you put sand on there. Maybe that'll do the same thing, right? Try it, see, okay? Sharpening a knife is not complicated, folks. It really is. Okay, so that's the things that I use. Let's talk about strops right quick. Most of the time, when I sharpen a knife, and people complain that they can't get the knives as sharp as I send them out to them. And folks, it's not hard. I just use a DMT most of the time, or the Work Sharp. These Work Sharps right here. And I'll use the blue. I like the blue because that seems to be the right coarseness that I like for a belt knife. A coarser edge for general purpose works better in my applications than a polished edge. Now, I do like polished edge with compounds in the leather and high stropping on my carving knives, my wood carving knives. But for general purpose, I use that blue DMT or the Work Sharp system and get an edge on there, and then I'll clean it, just clean the grit out of that edge with a clean piece of leather. Now let's talk about leather for a moment. Anything that's soft, that you put that blade on, that's soft, as you run it across, it's gonna follow the edge of that blade in that U. If it's soft, it'll compress, okay? So if you use thick leather or a belt or something like that that's gonna create that U, then guess what your edge is gonna do over time? And it depends on the hardness of that steel, the makeup of that steel, and how often you strop as to how long that will take. But over time, it will create, that edge is gonna follow what you're stropping against, okay? So if there's a little bit of a dip, like a belt or soft leather, then it will follow that, okay? So I like to use thin leather on a solid surface. So I maintain that V as long as possible. Now, if you strop a lot, I recommend, if you wanna keep that V, go back to your bench stones, diamond stones, not water stones. I'll talk about those in a minute. But your bench stones, and put that V back every now and then, okay? Because it will convex that edge. And a lot of people, they'll contact me and say, hey, I can't get my knife sharp anymore. And I'll tell them, put a piece of paper up against, or a straight edge, up against the edge, like so. Just pretend this is a piece of paper or a straight edge. Up against that edge and look at it in the light. And you'll see that is convexed. Over time, it'll convex. That's the reason you can't get it sharp anymore. You gotta put that V back on there, okay? So another way to find out is, like I showed in the previous one, is to color that edge in that you need to sharpen and put it on your stones and see where it's hitting that. That'll show you if it's got a convex or not. So if you strop a lot, especially the buffing wheels, oh man, they're atrocious. I don't know why anybody wants to use those things, but if you use a buffing wheel to put an edge back on the knife, then very quickly you're going to have to put that V grind back on your blade. Otherwise, you're going to sharpen it as a convex the rest of your life, okay? So anyway, just a word of caution there. Stropping an edge to get it back is good, but you're going to put the V grind back on there eventually, okay? All right, compounds, like I said in the previous video, the green compound, the white compound, the basic compounds at Harbor Freight work great. If you want to go out and get the diamond coated stuff, the Smurf, whatever that is, I mean, all of that stuff, it works. I mean, it's not necessary, but it works. You know, like I said, learn to maintain the edge back to where you bought it at, what you like, then explore other things, okay? But stropping works great for wood carving stuff and as far as compounds. Cleaning the edge with clean piece of leather works great to keep a coarse edge. The ceramic rods will put a coarse edge on there, a little bit of a toothy edge, if you will. And the reason I like a toothy edge is because, to me, it's safer. This has a toothy edge on there. I can touch this. It doesn't cut me. It has to have a drawing motion to cut. The reason I like polished edges on my wood carving stuff is because I do a lot of push cuts into wood, and I want that blade to cut as quickly as it touches. Okay? So wood carving stuff and polished edges, if you touch yourself, you're going to cut yourself. Okay? So these toothy edges are a little bit more forgiving in my experience. Another thing is they last longer. My theory is that the tooth edge, if you it has little peaks and valleys, and as each one of these peaks is worn, then another tooth, a lower tooth, takes its place, so it lasts longer. That's my theory. For whatever reason, if you go back through my playlist, you'll see a lot of test videos that I've done comparing a toothy edge to a polished edge. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself, okay? I had a lot of people say that I was crazy until they tried it and they come back and said, hey, man, you're right. So anyway, find out what works for you, okay? Because none of us are the same. None of us like the same stuff. Find out what works for you. I'm just telling you what I've learned, my experience, what works for me, okay? All right, I hope this helps. Video is already longer than I expected. But anyway, this goes along with all the other sharpening videos I've got on the playlist. Maybe this will narrow it down a little bit for everybody. And there's a lot of people that's new to the channel. Thank you so much for your views, your comments, your likes, your shares. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing that. Help the channel out, get the word out about WC knives and my philosophy of 60 years of using a knife and what works for me, and maybe it'll help somebody else. But in the meantime, get in the backyard, whittle on a stick, be sure to take a child with you, get the opportunity. Teach that child about all this stuff. We need the next generation to learn all this stuff. And I think we lost a lot in the past generation that we need to catch up on. But anyway, just my thoughts. If you do, take plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for allowing me to live my dream. And you guys take care. Be safe. Bye.